These rocky shores where I call home, where my heart longs to be. Whenever I roam, it's these rocky shores, it's where I long to be. Yes, it's these rocky shores, they are home to me.
Whenever I leave here, it hurts me so, with tears in my eyes. Oh, I hate to go. There ain't no work, and the kids need new clothes. The bills need paying, so off I must go.
These rocky shores where I call home, where my heart longs to be. Whenever I roam, yes, these rocky shores is where I long to be. Yes, these rocky shores, they're home to me.
I think to myself, where did it all go? The life I once had on the ocean's gentle road. With tears in my eyes and my head in my hands, away from my family, I hope they understand.
That is these rocky shores where I call home, is where my heart longs to be. Whenever I roam, yes, these rocky shores where I long to be. Yes, these rocky shores, they are home to me. Yes, these rocky shores, they are home to me.
Good evening and welcome to this week in review. Tonight's stories include: we got the opportunity to watch crab being discharged from the Baffin Bay, telephone conference with Bill Berry. We attended a public meeting on Wednesday concerning NEOS's bid to take over Fishery Products International. These stories plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack, and more coming up after this.
I am Astar, a robot. I can put my arm back on. You can't, so play safe.
On Monday of this week, we were invited to Falcon Seafood Plant to watch the crab being discharged from the Baffin Bay. When we arrived around 10:30 p.m., there were quite a few people standing around. Apparently, the Baffin Bay was having trouble getting the door to the holding shed open. Aidan Daly invited us aboard the Baffin Bay to look at the condition of the crab. This is the first crab boat to land at Burgeo with refrigerated seawater. As you can see, the crab are very active and alive.
It's easy to get out, too, eh?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you want to do let's get her dog down.
Who do you want this one to?
First, you know.
Let's send one down there if we can get him. Okay, the hook there now, Terry.
Plug in the light up there, boys.
Yeah, you got the other one pulled out, boys.
Jill, pull it out.
All the way.
Steve,
Yeah.
we went up with the light down there. You okay with everything there? Fire off there.
Look down in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, why is that? There, now you keep that from outside. All right.
Hey, knock that go up, bro.
So Steve, you use your main engine, hydraulic side.
Yep. Way faster than one that's more to run.
You have no sweat pulling them into the pump?
Huh?
No sweat?
No sweat.
I think
Then with the micro commander, then you can rev her up too. Just you can rev her up and the boil lines, right?
we're pumped up at about 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, smoke you.
After the crab leave the boat, it is taken to an area where it is graded. As each crab comes their way, the graders take crab from different areas in a particular load. For example, this crab was taken from the top left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner. This way, the graders get a better sample. Then the forklift takes it to the holding shed to be processed. Later on that evening, we took our cameras to the OO of the Baffin Bay to see how the last of the crab in this shipment was faring. As you can see, it is still alive and trying to crawl away.
There you go. What are you doing? Are you going back there, are you? You got my gun ladder. You got my gun oil. You got my
At approximately 10 a.m. on Tuesday, we visited the crab again, this time inside the plant to see how it was doing. They're still alive. According to reports, only 1% of this shipment of crab from the Baffin Bay was lost.
What you looking for? Okay. Still moving. No, you throwing them through or you waiting for a while? Just waiting for a while. Yeah. Look at this guy, he's gonna crawl right off. Here's another one. Little bit of barnacles on there, but still, for the most part, lively crab. Even the big ones that are older. Look at this, can't even touch him, he's attacking me.
On Monday of this week, we got an opportunity to take part in a telephone conference with Mr. Bill Barry and Mr. John Rizzo, two of the parties involved in NEOS Seafoods, who are trying to acquire Fishery Products International. We got the opportunity to ask Mr. Barry a few questions.
You know, it was very interesting when we met with the mayors in Saturday in Corner Brook. The largest endorsement that I got in that meeting was from the mayor of Burgeo, Alistair Ham. And you know, we've tried to we've invested heavily in Burgeo this year, and we certainly, it's our intention to make that plant and those operations on the south coast of Newfoundland work. And mostly, and for the single reason is we think it's the right thing to do in our companies, but we also know it's the right thing to do for the rural communities in Newfoundland.
Mr. Barry, Marie Rose from Burgeo Broadcasting.
Great.
What would this mean for our plant here in Burgeo?
Well, Marie, you know that, and you've been involved in a lot of the meetings that have taken place this year. We're challenging ourselves in Burgeo to make a new future for Burgeo. Not only Burgeo, Ramea, and Galvez, based on having as a base for those communities the offshore crab resource outside of 200 miles. We've invested in plant changes and some vessel conversions this year, about $6 million, to assist us or to head in that direction on the south coast. Certainly we've seen the catch rates outside of 200 on crab to be very, very good. We're still not using the right technology to land that crab, and you guys know what my opinion has been like that since the very beginning, and I think the last landings of crab are just proving that opinion was correct. But I do believe that Burgeo and those south coast communities have a very good opportunity in the year 2000, and the challenge as to how it's going to be landed, who's going to catch it, and how it's going to be harvested, that has got to be addressed and decided by DFO. But certainly we have a tremendous amount of information now, having gone through this process over the last 2 months, to know exactly what will work and what won't work. You know, I think that we're going to get the Burgeo plant fully operational during the next year. And the challenges that we've have had to convince people as to the proper way to prosecute crab outside of 200, I think we're winning those challenges every day just by the reality of what's happening in terms of the crab landings.
But will there be other species processed in our plant besides crab?
You know, obviously what we want to do is operate the plants on as much a full-time basis. We want to operate them on a full-time basis. every one of these plants need a core business to work with. The core business for Burgeo would be crab, but we intend to participate then in the inshore buy in Burgeo and to handle the cod and any redfish in the area and other species that are there. We also have a plan which the people in Burgeo know about that we're looking to process shrimp in that operation as well. But like these plans are plans that we've discussed with the people in Burgeo, and we're going on a step-by-step process. But the fact that we've got $6 million invested there now over the last 8 or 9 months, I'm sure people must think we're serious, and we're certainly prepared to put our money where our mouth is.
Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
The horrors of war. I'm Cliff Chatterton of the War Amps. Those of us who experienced war firsthand have a message for all Canadians. Never again. Never again must we risk global conflict. A military deterrent if necessary, but we must prevent war. Call this toll-free number to borrow our Never Again video series. This has been a message from the War Amputations of Canada.
A public meeting was held on Wednesday, November the 10th at the elementary school to decide where the town of Burgeo stood on the NEOS deal. Mr. Greg Illiard chaired the meeting on behalf of Mayor Ann, who was unfortunately out of town. Mr. Illiard read the news release the NEOS company put out on Friday, November the 5th. Mr. Illiard also introduced the guests and the group they represented.
This open public meeting this evening. Before we get going, I would like to introduce the head table guests that are up here tonight. To my immediate left and working across the table is Mr. Owen Marsden. Owen was involved with the fish plant strategy committee that was formed to try and revitalize and open up the plant here in Burgeo. Next to him is Mr. John Grant, who is now the chairperson with the Burgeo Diversification Development Board. Next to Mr. Grant is Dr. Barb Barber, who is Deputy Mayor of Burgeo, as you're probably aware, and last but not least is Mr. George Reid, who also sat on the plant committee involved in trying to revitalize the Burgeo plant. What's forced this meeting tonight is that the Mayor of Burgeo, of course, who was unfortunately not able to attend tonight due to other commitments, called this morning when we had a conference call, and he is concerned due to the fact that a number of communities, as you're probably aware, looking at the media in the last couple of days, have come out in basically full support against this potential purchase. And the mayor felt that sooner than later there should be some movement by the residents of Burgeo and in turn town council to determine what their position is in terms of this potential transaction. So we had a joint meeting this afternoon between representatives of the BDDB as well as members of town council and of course the initial action committee that was formed to discuss the issue, and it was felt that there should be a public meeting tonight to try and feel out what the residents of this community feel in terms of this potential buyout by NEOS, and of course whether they're eventually in favor of this type of action or would definitely be against it. So what we'll do now is turn it over to each member of the panel, and I'll give them approximately 2 or 3 minutes to discuss the issue and kind of fill you in on any details you might have. So we'll start off with Mr. Owen Marsden.
I didn't want the camera on for some obvious reasons. I don't think it should be in a debate. But anyway, I won't stand here and condemn Bill Berry or Seafreeze or anything else like that. But what I will question with when time comes for you guys to help make a decision here tonight is if it's necessary at all for Burgeo to take a position on this right now. I don't believe that it is. I don't believe that it's in Burgeo's best interest to right now be taking a position on either side. Because if you support the NEOS takeover, and the rest of those communities, the rest of those fishermen, the rest of those people that's up there landing fish to our plant right now, decides that's not what they want, then I think Burgeo would put in a very precarious situation. I mean, will these draggers still want to land there if they're fighting to keep this NEOS group from taking over? I don't think it's necessary for us to take a position. And on that issue, I did call Regency tonight before I came here because we had a debate about this evening. So I thought I'd call Regency to see what his position was, because all you know is I know that it was Regency, it was Bell Short that put this deal together. A year ago, about this month, we were sitting in this very hall and wondering where our future was at. But I'm going to tell you, it was Regency with the Fishermen's Union that got that plan open. And I think we have to be loyal somewhere. And my position is, if he thinks that may be a bad deal for Virgil, if he thinks that by us going out and taking a position against these other communities is going to put us in a very awkward position for him to fight and get a quota come spring, then I think we should very seriously consider postponing take any public position. Thank you.
I guess we're different from home. I guess the home knows more about fishery than what I do, but we're put in a kind of a vulnerable situation where we don't know much information on whether it's going to be a good thing for Virgil or not. People name flyers in that area, so you can sit down and ask them, what it means for Virgil if it takes over, where do we stand if they don't. Based on what had happened in the last month or so with our fish plant and stuff, so much of Barry motors are done or whatever, he had to come in on his fish plant. And if he's fighting for this deal and he kind of believes in this deal, he never really come in and asked for our support, but being a business person, I'm assuming he's expecting. So, as it sits now, I pretty well sits on a neutral line, but, if it came to a push, it had to go with the deal, right? That's pretty much all I got to say, but, it's a lot to think about, and it comes down to it now. I don't know if Greg had mentioned it. Most of this was started today with regards of Mayor Ann calling and wondering, because it's going to come down to the point where he's going to be asked. He has been on TV and whatnot, but he's going to be asked, where does his town sit on this issue? And, when government is looking at public opinion, I think Virgil, although it is small, it is going to play a major factor into the decision making. Because, of course, all the FDI plants and stuff is going to be objective to it. They've been working ever since the moratorium not ago, whereas Virgil has not. We've been sitting idle now for 10 years. So, when it comes to public opinion, I think, this is going to play a major role. If you haven't got the town itself supporting it, Barry being in Virgil and whatnot, if we don't support them, you can't pick Marytown or whatever else to support, right? So that's pretty much it I got to say.
From a town perspective, I know for the last few years, Virgil has been in dire straits, in particular since 1992. And the council, since I've been on, and I know the council that was there before us, worked very hard in trying to come up with ways to be more diversified in what we were going to do as a community in order to survive as a community. The takeover by NEOS is not, I suppose it's Bill Barry and his group know what they want, know what they're doing. Vic Young knows what they want and what they're doing. The ordinary people like us do not have a lot of the answers and a lot of the factors that they are negotiating. We're going to be left out, I guess, in the dark with that respect. However, the decision will certainly affect us down the road. And I guess as a council member, my response would be, I can't be afraid of that. I can't be afraid of what's going to happen down the road. When I read the memo from the NEOS group that speaks of money for research, money for technology, money for secondary processing, these are the types of things that the council has talked about and the diversification group in Virgil has talked about in order to make our community sustainable. And from that perspective, I guess as a councillor, I would have to support the NEOS group because I'm very interested in what happens to this community. I would suggest that if Mayor Hand was here, he would say basically the same thing. And that doesn't mean that all the councillors would agree. But the thing that I wanted tonight from you people were any concerns that you have, any suggestions that you have, because I think we are going to be asked. The political ball has already started. It started on the weekend when the letters were passed out to the mayors at the municipalities conference in Corner Brook. The static was already started. The news traveled very quickly amongst those 500-600 delegates. So the ball is already in progress, and I think we're going to be a part of that negotiating game, even if we don't want to. So I don't think that we're going to be able to stand back and be silent. I think we're going to be forced into taking a stand. Thank you.
I guess what I have to say about this probably would be basically looking at it from the town's perspective too, and ask, who's operating the industry in this town, whether it's FPI operating it or whether it's the Barry Group operating it. And if you look at it strictly from that point of view, I think you would have to say that you'd have to go with probably this takeover, because that's where your dollars lie in working for the operation that's owned by the Barry Group. Now, FPI is not owned by any individual or any one or two or three individuals. FPI is a public company. You probably got shares, might be people sitting in the audience here who got shares in FPI. FPI is owned by anybody who's got money who wants to invest in buying shares on the stock market. And they're not people who are very concerned about towns or anything else. They're actually people who are concerned about what's the return on the investment. If you've got $20,000 invested in FPI, every year you expect to get some kind of return on your money, and you want more than 4%. So FPI will and have dropped everything that basically that they're losing money on. They ran it pretty fast, they dropped them. They dropped Gaulis, and I think they dropped St. Anthony. I don't know the history of their operations, but that's what they do. They basically close down anything that doesn't make a profit for them. It's just that they're run by shareholders, and the shareholders of FPI could be anybody across Canada, United States, doesn't make it anywhere here. If they got money to invest in a fishing company, they will invest it. That's how simple it is. And when they sit in a meeting, when the board of directors sit into a big meeting and have their annual meeting and decides whether or not they want to cut some kind of losing operations, then that's what they do. Now, whether or not this is going to be good for Virgil, well, you got to ask yourself, who owns the planet? Who owns the planet? I mean, if this deal doesn't go through, is FPI going to put anything in Virgil? I mean, are they going to do the boats? I think if you remember the meeting back in February, and they had in January and February, and one of the reasons why we didn't get any crab in February because the stand that FPI took on where that experimental quota was going to go to. And Vic Young is on record as saying that as far as he's concerned, that there was no other plant should operate crab in Newfoundland until all of the FPI plants were operating at full capacity. If that advice was taken, this plant up here now would not be operating, I'll tell you that. And in relationship to the crap that's coming in here now, in the meeting that they had in St. John's, which the mayor was there, he would tell you, that one of the guys got up there who owned one of the boats, who skipper one of the boats, and his basic thing said, well, he said, I'll take crab in a bird, he said, but it all depends on what the FBI basically says, because they own my boat. And there's a good many of these boats out there, I don't know the numbers, but there's a good many of these boats out there, these crab boats. They're not owned by people who are skipper of them or who says they own them. They own them in name, but they're basically their loans are with FBI. So, you know, I don't think they got it, as far as I can see, that they haven't got a good record of wanting to share their crab or their anything with any of the other communities in this island. So I think you're going to have to give some serious thought to that. I noticed it on the television tonight there, and on Open Mind that they were talking about. A lot of people whose communities whose plants are owned by FBI, they're the ones who are supporting it. And I suppose that's natural. Because I suppose they don't know what change is going to bring about, and they would naturally support the people that's operating their plant. They're not have been operating for X number of years. And that's, to me, is what would be normal, is to have trouble with it. But there also, I think the mayor was here tonight, he probably would also tell you that he know of some towns which got FBI plants are not doing very well. We're around the verge of trying to get rid of them. Because they're just not putting enough raw material in their plants to keep them operating. And I say basically, it's like I started off by saying that if that's a plant that's not doing very well, that's what they'll do. They'll cut their losses because they want the shareholders to make more money at the end of the day. So whether or not we show support to Barry or against the deal, that's entirely up to every individual in this room or in Virgil for that matter.
It was the general consensus of the 25 people in attendance that at this point in time there is not enough information on what this deal will mean for Burgeo, and that 25 people is not a fair number to represent the rest of the town. Mr. Illiard will try to get more information on the NEOS deal and to try to find out when these representatives will be visiting Burgeo. Another public meeting will be called when more information is made available. On Wednesday of this week, the A.J. Matthews Elementary School held a Respect Day, and we visited to see what it was all about. This afternoon came about when the discipline committee at the school were looking for ways to show the students how to be more respectful and to promote good behavior and attitudes. The committee contacted the board office to see if there were any programs on the go for this type of thing. Of course there was. Mr. Nick White, coordinator with the District 4 School Board at Just Thing. A group of students from Stephenville has developed skits that they presented to schools dealing with respect. At the beginning of the performance, the students sang songs with the students.
Well, we're all going to do a cheer this morning. It's called I'm Alive, Alert, Awake, Enthusiastic. And we're going to start off real slow to teach it to you guys, and then we're going to slowly get faster. So it starts off, I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic.
was on to the more serious stuff. The students had skits for each letter of the word respect. Here's an example.
Everybody quiet down. Let's get the word back. Okay, today kids, we're going to learn multiplication. John, stop throwing paper around. It was her. Okay, does anybody know what 2 times 2 is? John. Come on, give us a hand. It wasn't me. I want to hear it.
Sir, let's tell you something.
I don't have time to talk to kids like you. You're always causing trouble.
Sir, sir, I just want to say I was sorry.
Yeah. You know what she was talking about? Or what they were talking about? John was talking about this story was about experience. What do you think? What was John like? What was John doing? He was throwing paper. He was causing trouble in the classroom, wasn't he? And what happened when he went to talk to the teacher? The teacher went away. The teacher didn't want to talk to him. Why? Because he had been bad all morning, right? He had been causing trouble in the classroom. That's called our experience.
After the skits were done, the students returned to their class for work on their personal self-respect tree.
Nice cousin, sorry. That one you got to think of something different. You said something about mercy. Yes, something that you come up with yourself.
What was stuck in my ear?
Yeah. Your fear of playing games. Okay, Allison.
Ask Joshua, would you like to do anything else? You know what? Joshua is a member of the choir. Joshua likes to sing. Joshua likes to sing.
Raise your hand one second. You don't have to do anybody's. How many words you say?
Open the doors and they all walk away.
Now over to Deputy Mayor Barbara Berter with the Council report.
Good evening. The town of Burgeo held its regular town council meeting on Wednesday, November the 3rd. The following points were open for discussion. Taxes. With regard to the Calder Health Care Centre, the responsibility for who pays the taxes and who does not is still in dialogue. A letter was received from Mr. Martin Velotis advising that the property was not eligible for taxes. So it was decided to forward all information and correspondence to a lawyer in St. John's. And the reason for that, of course, is that the government says that hospital facilities do not pay taxes, and yet the town is very much aware that the building that in which the health care center is operated is not owned by the government. The traffic regulation and speed limit signs have been received from the department, but before they can be put into place, they have to be gazetted and published in a newspaper. So again, there will be some time before the signs can be put in place. Review of the municipal plan. Mr. Aubrey Golding advised that he can give guidance on revising the plan, and the municipal plan, of course, would be the zoning of the community of Burgeo. This has to be done by a planning consultant, so it has been decided that the town will check out prices, consultant prices, but in the meantime, we will be meeting with Mr. Golding just to talk about the process advantages and disadvantages of rezoning. The town water system. After all of the tests were done, officials have determined that there must be a major leak or leaks within the water system. It has been therefore recommended that the town get a leak detection test done, and so the town manager will be seeking advice from officials from H.T. Kendall Associates to go ahead with that testing. Calder Scholarship. Applications and criteria have been sent out to the applicants. There was one question on there that has been on there ever since the Calder Scholarship had been initiated, and that is one of family income. And one of the questions was, whose income do you put down? Is it the family income of the parents of the child applying for the scholarship, or is it the child themselves? The answer that was given was that whoever is contributing to the paying of the applicant's application is the income that would be put on the application. However, with further discussion on council, it has been decided that that question should be revisited. It won't be revisited for this year. However, the criteria will be revisited between this and next, and more revisions will be made. The inclusion or exclusion of family income will certainly be a topic at that time. The First Light Celebration Program for the new millennium, there was a letter from government stating that the first 200 communities applying would receive a grant of $300. It was decided that our town manager would make an application for that $300 to do something for Burgeo. We have to remember that June the 17th, the year 2000, is also the 50th anniversary of the incorporation of our town, and therefore the council is thinking along the lines of doing something special. It's not only 2000, but for us it's 50 years of incorporation. We will be applying for the grant and thinking about doing something maybe up on Maiden T Hill with a lighting system. And in conversation with other ideas of things that we might be able to do. We also decided to send a letter to the Lieutenant Governor inviting him, I should say, to visit Burgeo, so that at that time we can also organize a special event. A letter was received from the Honorable Charles Fury, advising that a recreation grant in the amount of $2,000 was approved for the town. The town applied for that grant because we have been doing work on the municipal playground. As you can see when you go by, the basketball court was improved, there was a tennis court put there, and there was also a play activity there for younger children, which cost a fair amount of money. However, the government did offer a small grant for which we applied and were successful in receiving. New business. The town manager presented prices on the purchase of a lightweight portable pump for the fire department. The issue was discussed and a resolution was made that the town purchase a light portable pump for the fire department for the best price available. The reason for that pump is that there are particular areas in the town now that are not serviced by a fire hydrant. The fire hall does have a pump, but it's very heavy. It takes 3 or 4 persons to handle the pump. And concern has been raised that oftentimes with people away from the community with seasonal outmigration, working for a short period of time, or being away summertime, that there are small crews left available to handle fire situations. If you only have 1 or 2 or 3 people operating the truck and the fire hose, and then it's discovered that you also need to handle a pump, we run into difficulty with the weight of it. So the town has been looking at buying a lighter pump that could be used and service many areas of the town. Mayor Hand spoke about the resolutions to be presented at the NLFM convention, the Newfoundland Labrador Municipalities Convention. The mayor and myself as deputy mayor were the voting delegates for the town of Burgeo. We put in a resolution at that convention with regard to airfares. One of the things that has come up in discussion with many members of the community is that people are being forced to go all the way to St. John's to get cheaper airfares as opposed to flying from Stephenville. Hence, it was resolved that the town submit a resolution at NLFM asking the Federation to lobby for a cheaper rate for people flying into and out of the province and allow them to use the airports that are closest to their area of residence. For Burgeo, it would be Stephenville and or Deer Lake. That resolution was put to the floor and it was passed. So NLFM now has the resolution, and we've asked that they petition both Air Canada and Canadian to consider better fares, more equitable fares and scheduling with their flights in other airports, smaller airports in both Newfoundland and Labrador. That's the news from our last council meeting. Thank you for listening. Good evening.
Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
The war amps know the cost of war. It would be compounding the tragedy if we did not tell about it. What better group to hear the story than the graduates of our child amputee program, Operation Legacy, seminars at which the war amps, partly through our Never Again videos, interpret the horror of war. These champs can then pass on the message. Operation Legacy, a war amps program warning of the tragedy in human terms.
Off the Rack. This week, as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of the St. John's Central High students enjoying a frolic day. Let's look back to 1994.
Good evening. Welcome to the community events segment of tonight's broadcast. I'm Ingrid Strickland. Attention, boys and girls. If you got your letter written to Santa Claus yet, well, you better start writing it. Santa Claus will be in Burgeo on December the 5th or December the 12th for the Lions' annual Santa Claus Parade. The parade will begin at 2 p.m. at the Fish Plant parking lot. In order for the parade to be a success, the Lions are requesting your support by either entering a float in the parade or by giving a donation for goodies which will be distributed to the children. If you would like to make a donation or are planning to enter a float, please contact Frank Ann. National Child Day is just around the corner. Celebrate the health and well-being of children on Saturday, November 20th. Find out more about a program called a New Life Program. This type of program can give your child a healthy start in life. This program provides information regarding pregnancy, childbirth, and early parenting. For more information and a free booklet, contact your public health nurse at 886-3360. November is Diabetes Month, and the Canadian Diabetes Association will be canvassing Burgeo for diabetes. Please give generously when a canvasser knocks at your door. Would you like to win $1 million? Imagine what you could do with that kind of money. The Burgeo Recreation Commission is giving you a chance to make your dream come true by selling tickets on the $1 million draw. If you would like to purchase a ticket or share a ticket, then please call Karen Buckland at 8886-2920. There is also an early bird draw for $50,000. This draw will take place on December 24th. The $1 million draw is scheduled for Mother's Day, May 14th, the year 2000. Are you ready this time for the driver's examination? Maybe you missed him the last time. He is scheduled to be in Burjo on Wednesday, November 17th to do a written and road test as well as a photo ID. Do you like to play crib? Would you like to get out of the house for an evening of fun and entertainment? The Lions are hosting a crib tournament on Thursday, November 18th at 8:15 p.m. Registration will start at 7:30 p.m. and run until 8 p.m. It will only cost you $2.50 to play. If you have a crib board, would you please bring it along when you come? The prize will be a half of take at the door. There will be a bar service available. Are you tired of cooking on Sundays? Maybe you just don't know what to cook. The Lioness can solve that problem for you on Sunday, November the 21st, when they will be having a potluck dinner at 4:30 p.m. It will cost $4.50 for adults and $3 for children under 10. Just think, you will have someone else to do the cooking, but the best part is when you won't have to do the dishes. If your group or organization has an upcoming event planned, we would be happy to advertise it for you. Just call the BBS office by Wednesday of each week to have items included in this portion of our broadcasting. That concludes the community events segment of tonight's broadcast. See you next week.
BBS Playbill. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a rebroadcast of Pansy's Garden. On Wednesday, we will have a video entitled Growing and Living with Type 1 Diabetes for Teenagers. Tune in on Thursday when we'll have a rebroadcast of the Sand and Sea Entertainment with Bits and Pieces. Join Pansy and the gang for 2 stories, a craft, and lots of fun on a Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on Pansy's Garden. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. Hopefully, next week's program will be followed by The Bandwagon. Please stay tuned now for Bits and Pieces. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night.